everybody. Um, how are you? Today talk about life and talk about my experience um in life. Um, it's not related to fish keeping. It's just related to things that have occurred in my life for the past couple of years, and I think that it might be um motivating force for others experiencing the same thing even after or even during the COVID-19 situation. Okay, you're gonna be hearing me speaking a little bit American. I'm not American, I'm a Jamaican, but I'm speaking like this so that everyone could at least understand where I'm getting at. You see, so let's start. So, life has a lot of curveballs in which it actually throws at individuals who actually play this game called life. You see, I've shared this story already in some of my videos that I'm not somebody who's rich. I'm not really poor, but I'm not really rich, right? So I'm like in between. I'm like for those persons who follow sociology, I'll be in the lower middle class region of life in Jamaica, right? Probably if I'm where you're at, probably I'll be even lower, right? But life started out for me as a in humble beginnings. You see, I spent most of my years, my formative years, in an inner city community in a place called CV Gardens, right? It's referred to as a ghetto, right? When my mother and I actually started to live there, it was projected to be a community where in which um, persons that are within the government sector, like nurses, doctors, teachers, would actually reside. But over years, this have not materialized. With the opening of the community of Portmore, a lot of persons prefer to actually live with that section. Okay, so I'm a church person. I go to church on Saturdays, and we have a lot of social programs and a lot of social groups, right? And I realized that being from that community actually held me back from being socially accepted by many. Yeah, probably you might experience that, right? Um, because I lived into this so-called ghetto. A lot of the persons, yeah, in the church, right? They never wanted to be so close to me because they wanted to be like acting socially different. But anyway, I just still attended church because that was one of the rules of the house that you go to church. I'm still in a church, by the way, because I believe that church actually helps to define your character, make you who you are, and accept in accepting Christ as your personal savior, you can be a little bit more uh, humbled, knowing that you are not here by chance or by your own intellect, but as a result of blessings from someone who's more powerful than you. Okay, so I lived here and I I attended a high school that is not traditionally inclined. This high school, when matched up to the traditional high school in which some of my friends, well, I should say my friends, or should I say associate, some of those persons, young people like myself, who never really wanted to be, socially connected to me, they attended traditional high schools. So I'm here going non-traditional. By the way, for those persons wondering what is traditional high school, is like just like you have in the states. You have like the Princeton, you have the Harvard, right? And you have those big universities. You have high school that have that ring to it. That high school that once you say those high school, you got like, oh, you're bright, or you're intelligent, or your parents have money, or you are up there in social class. But my high school was in the center of a ghetto, and my high school never actually had the ringtone to it as several traditional high school that had we call it social contribution, social and financial assistance from the Old Boys and the Old Girls Association. We never had some of them, some of the technical assistance in in guiding the students as to their way forward. Right. One of the reasons why I am actually doing this video is because I believe I've reached at a point where in which I can help, even if it's just by speaking to those persons who find themselves in a position in which I I I I, I was in at that point in time in my life, and they can actually use that as a motivation so as to reach even past my position in which I am in right now. Okay, so I'm at a particular level. Let's say I'm about probably about 12 or so. Alright. So whilst I was within the social sphere of my own age group, my the social acceptance of me, everybody is my complexion, by the way. Jamaica is a country located in the Caribbean, and it's a bunch of black people. But black people can be snobs, even in the church. Even those persons in whom you believe that they believe in the Bible, they believe in God, they believe in that in heaven you have one big place in which everyone is at. They believe that everybody have a different social sphere. So my social sphere was, I come from the ghetto. My parent never had any high class job, so to speak, which would contribute anything significant to any social gathering or any little thing that may occur. Now you had some adults who actually took me, and they actually groomed me where um I was considered too young to actually go to some of the function, like some of the campaigns up in the mountains, some of the rivers, some of the beach trips. You had some adults who were socially inclined and who financially independent and strong. They would say, "Oh, come, come, I will take care of you. Come at the function. Come to the trip." And this actually have actually motivated me in a lot of ways to allow me to be who am I, and helpful in trying as best as possible to help who I can, because I too received that help from individuals when I was young. Okay, so I'm 12, and like social gatherings, the persons would talk, enjoy. They would talk about games, like back in the days they had like Nintendo, Atari, those games and stuff. I never had those things. Right? My game was I'm playing marbles, elastic bands, making chalk, making some funny stuff with motors, get them to work, because I just never had those games to play, right? And so, as I said before, I went to a non-traditional high school, and at my non-traditional high school, what happened is that it so happened that I started to top my class, right? Because that's just the only way in which I could see myself, you know, trying to prove that I am just like anybody else. So, the high school was tough. I mean, tough. You mean you had guys who actually held up guys to and take away their lunch money, and you know, and that actually drove fear in my heart as a youngster. In seventh grade and eighth grade, I heard that over by the senior school, if any of those senior guys actually meet you and say, "Give you your lunch money," and you have to right? So what I did, I made friends with those persons who were from the community itself, who had connections with the bad guys within the community itself. So when I'm around those guys, the bigger guys who know those guys would not mess around me, because we actually walk together, we buy lunch together, and if I have a little money, and you know, I would like buy stuff like whether it be sweetie or juice or stuff, and we all share, right? We play games together, and that was my motivating force. So going forward, I decided that I want to do something that would actually help me to propel out of the realm in which I am, the social sphere and the physical environment in which I am. All right. So I I put everything together and I hit the books, and I became the head boy for my school. That's the person in charge of the student, the person representing the student body, not the student body president, but the person representing the student body. Head boy is like, you know, selected by the teacher. Well, student council is representing the students concerned, and those individuals are normally elected um, to position the by the student himself. All right, so I became the head boy for the school, and I did well in my exam, my external exams, and I went on to work at a financial institution for just 1 year. And at so during this time, hardly anybody at my church, because the church is the only place in which I found solace. I couldn't find solace within my community, because the guys there were like, you know, um persons of questionable character. Let's put that right. So they were on the corner, they would smoke pot, or what you call weed or ganja, and they would speak all kind of things, you know. And they had illegal firearms and stuff. So I were like not into that, because in the midst of it all, I don't like the whole idea of being fired at, right? And I've been in positions like that before, where in which I've been fired at. So it's not a nice thing. So I I leave that alone. So I'm like in the house now, where I during that time, you know, fourth form, fifth form, what you call 10th grade, 11th grade, I was like um computer individual, persons doing stuff on the computer, right? So here I'm at the bank working, and my manager says to me, Mr. Hill, he was Arvin Hill at the time. He said to me, Raleigh, uh, you're a young man, you have your subjects, you're qualified. I think you should move on and get further education into into something. And at the end of the day, you can say you're certified in whatever field you like. And I took it, and I said, okay, cool. And about 2 days after, my my mother, I had the same conversation with me. I never said anything to my mother. I was probably about 18, 17, 18. Yeah, about that. I never said anything to my mother. I just was like contemplating what he was saying, right? I was at the bank. I was wearing a nice shirt, tie. I was well respected in my community because I'm going out to work each day. Just left high school. I felt good. And then he says to me that, hey, he's like, you need to stop and you need to go to school and get certified. And probably you can even come back whenever you're certified. He wasn't firing me or anything. He was just he was like touching me and saying, hey, listen, mate. Um, in a nutshell, he was saying, hey, listen, um, you being where you are right now, you can't stop there. You need to go on more. And my mother had the same conversation. So after the year, I went to teachers college, where in which I spent 3 years studying and teaching. Right. So I left, and I returned as a teacher to the same high school where in which I myself usually attend. And you know, I met my the gentleman who actually motivated me to choose this career. He he probably, if he's watching this right now, he will say, "What?" I say, "Yeah, man, I am motivate me." So um I end up working in his department. I end up working in his office. I end up working him alongside him, knowing the rules, and how we do certain things. It's good to be a teacher, but it's good to actually learn from an actual teacher within the classroom, because certain things you ain't gonna learn um at college. Certain things is hands-on experience. So I'm there. I'm at high school. I'm working, and I'm working. You could say that I've actually hitched a notch, increasing from, I say, the upper, um, lower class to the little middle class little area. Because I'm now earning some monies, and I can afford to do certain things that I never usually could before, because depended on my mom. My mom was an enrolled nurse. So yeah, she had a steady work, steady employment, and working with the government. But at the same time, the amount of monies that she would actually collect at the end of each month for salary, that would practically just be the basics, right? So she had to do like sessions. So as a result of that, I never really got much time to spend with her. All right, cool. So I'm here. I'm working. And by the way, I'm still at the same institution for over 20 years, right? So I'm here. I'm working with this gentleman. So I'm working with this gentleman, and remember, I told you that at church, no one care a crap about me as to election for office. They never thought that I had what it took to actually, be active in church, because it's because of my social background, or probably the assumption of my education. Right. And the funny thing about it is that about a year or 2 years after working there, I realized I met someone there who was trying to sell insurance, and they were trying to sell insurance to the young teachers. And that person actually came to my church, and when that person saw me actually in the, just as a part of it, as a teacher, right? That person said, "Wow, I did not know that." And as a result of that, that person went back to church, shared with other persons, and then now I started to be nominated, selected, for a position at church. That I I took it, but I took it with some reservation, because you know based on the history as to how this actually came about. It was like, hey, if I never had this experience, you wouldn't have noticed me. Alright, anyway, God loves everyone, and so I can't hate, right? So um moving along, I'm there at high school teaching, and then I said to myself, so listen, all my friends, yeah, my coworkers are actually doing their degree, and I have my diploma. I think I need to step up a little notch, do my degree. And so I went and I did my degree. It was really challenging. When I say challenging, I mean, um, I could pass all the different courses, the 30 odd courses in which they threw at me. But there was this one course that gave me so much problem that it actually held me back from actually graduating with my badge. And this course was an English course. Now, the way in which this English course was set up, at least is still set up at the University of the West Indies, is that if you don't get 40%, you will fail. And for each compartment, you must pass. If you pass 4 compartments out of the 5, you have failed. And it's not a course that adds to your degree, but it's a course that adds to whether or not you graduate. And so I failed this course 3 times, and I cried, and I said, "Lord, um, I've come so far. I don't know what is happening. I mean, at one point in time, when I looked at the results, I got like 39. At one point in time, I got 38. At one point in time, I get 37. And I said, wow. And I cried. Each time I feel like I cried, I paid a lot of money to actually resit this exam. Okay, so I did it the fourth time and I passed it. And the irony of it is that over nearly 10 years after that, I did my master's degree. And my master's degree, I instead of doing 30 something courses, I think I did about 16 or 17. I did these 16 courses and I failed none and I got A's. But I don't know, retrospectively looking back at that English exam, I said to myself, so wow, this is a test. You know, how this is a test and how this plays out in this video as a motivation video. You know, is sometimes you meet upon circumstances where in which you feel as if this is just the end road for you. You feel as if you can't move because something is in your way and you just have to give in, throw in a towel. But my thing is, growing up from humble beginning, growing up from a situation where in which I saw men shooting at men every single day. I saw men being violent and I saw persons quarreling with each other. And I said to myself that I need to get out of this space. I need to be within a space where in which I feel comfortable in. I need to have a family where which my kids are not exposed to these things. And I did work, right? So during my time, during my early years, at probably about 24, I got my own place, right? And I'm still here today, right? I got my own place at 24, and I have invested a lot, right? Whilst for security reason, I can't really show you all my place, but um, I got my place and I feel really good, right? And that was like in my 20s, right? And it's all because of how I started and my mindset saying, listen, I cannot sit and feel comfortable in a situation where in which um it is not like I'm at the top of my game. It's something where in which I can push forward. I can achieve more because it's in me, right? And yes, I'm a Christian. Yes, I'm someone who believe in the Most High, but I believe that the first thing that you need to know is that you need to say self, get out, and you need to ask God to get in. I need to then put forward the work. You can't sit back and say that, listen, God is going to do this for me, so therefore I don't need to work. Or you can't say, boy, I can do all things by myself. No, it's by I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I know a lot of persons on this channel don't really, a lot of person watching this channel don't really believe in God, but um, that's a different story, right? That's a different story, but I believe in God, right? That's your issue, right? You need to look at that in the mirror, right? And contemplate within yourself that if there's no God, where am I from? You know? Okay, so I'm back and I got married, right, in my 20s. I celebrated my 17th anniversary in November. Um right, November 30th. It was awesome. Right? It was awesome. And so I got married. I have my own house and I I decided that I wanted to do my PhD. And I said to myself, say, listen, PhD is gonna be taking too much from me. Because in Jamaica, to do your PhD full time is like 2 years. To do it part time is like 6. I have written my proposal, but I decided I'm gonna hold off a little bit. I'm gonna allow my kids, and my wife to actually be where I'm at right now. And probably the next probably about 4 years or so, I can push forward to that. But right now, it's about them, not only about me. So you see, in life, things is not necessary about what you achieve, but what others around you achieve, right? I've had I have friends who have actually gone to the traditional high school, right? But passed nothing. I had no subjects at the end. Did not qualify for university. But mark you, they went to a traditional high school because you see, at the traditional high school, sometimes you become so relaxed, so self-absorbed that you believe that you have reached. So therefore, the energy that someone like me would have to push forward, to achieve more at the non-traditional high school, or the school, what you would say is in the ghetto, school that you would say um poor people attend, the school that you would say have no social realization for the populace, in the sense that persons are not really you know into those individuals. um those schools give you more motivation. Although on the other hand, I've had students in my class who have shared with me that, sir, when I'm finished here, my gun is already there for me. I'm just waiting on my age to leave this place because I am going to become a gunman. I've had students who have actually said that the only reason why I'm attending school is because the boss says that I have to learn to read and write, right? And yeah, that's a situation in which I face as a teacher. And the only thing I can do is just to encourage and share my life story, right? And put myself out there to say, listen, this is what I've been through. This is the stigmatization that I've experienced. And if you want to actually reach a little bit more in life than your parents, you have to do a little bit more than your parents. If you want to get that fancy car the right way, if you want to get that certification the right way, what you gotta do, you gotta sit down and you gotta spend some time on your schoolwork. You gotta put aside all those March of Empires or roadblocks or those games that you play on a regular basis. You gotta dedicate your time to study. I remember sometimes back in the days when I was studying for my exams, the television usually sign on about probably about 5 o'clock in the morning. I usually sign off about probably about 6 something, uh, something that to that effect, right? At one point in time, they started to go beyond that time, but it was like news from um from about 7, after 7 news, straight back to 5 o'clock. There's news, CNN and BBC, right? And I will be studying, and how I will be studying, I will have the TV on, I would have the book in front of me, and I'd be studying like from 10 o'clock to 3, 4 o'clock in the mornings, reading the same thing over and over and over. And it's these subjects that I've been reading that I've ended up teaching, right? And I love it because it doesn't only limit myself to an office, and that's another thing, the office, the office, the office. And I never liked the office. I remember I was at the bank at one point in time when I usually do bank reconciliation in accounting, and you have some pink papers and some white papers. I remember some nights I'm going to my bed and I'm actually seeing pink and white because for the entire day it's just pink and white papers, and computer was not so prevalent at that time, in the sense that you had a big computer, yes, a big desk computer, but you actually placed the information that you got off the papers that came from the different branches, because I worked at the head office, right? So I had to use those numbers to create a bank reconciliation statement, and then now I was sending it over to the chief accountant who will look at it, and if any actions to be taken, she would have done that, right? I and the only thing I could say I miss from that office is the regular tea I usually drink. I mean, I don't drink coffee, I don't drink soda, I don't eat meat, right? So I would drink a lot of chocolate tea. right? And probably some crackers, where others drink coffee, right? I should have told you this. While at the bank for the first year, right, I learned a lot. I learned a lot, and I started to perform my duties so well that when I left for Teachers College, I was offered the opportunity to come back, to return to the bank after school in the days, to work at least 3 4 hours, and I would get that money, and that money which I earn in the evenings, I would use it to buy textbooks. So students in my class at college usually say that I have all the textbooks in the world, because once the teacher mentions a book, I would actually go out to the bookstore and I would actually purchase that book, keep if it's for one topic, right? So I was so into reading. I'm kind of slow up a little bit now, but I was so into reading. And guys, I should tell you this, right? These have actually propelled me to delve a little bit more in the books. And this is one thing that have pushed me through university, both my undergrad and my postgrad, right? The reading, right? If you do not read within your field or within what interests you have, you'll find that others will try to outshine you, using the little knowledge that they have. So if they say that B equals Y, you can say yes, B equals Y, but when you add Z to it, you get this. And so education is not stagnant. Education is evolving. So this is a short piece, and it's about part 32, 33 minutes. I thank you for stopping by. It's not nothing to do with fish keeping. It's just about life energy, what you have to offer. I hope that this video stays well with you. Share your comment. This is Riley here. I'm a Jamaican and I'm not American. I just speak so that you can understand. And I'm a soft speaker, so I'm not shouting. Peace out. Catch you next time.